Hey everyone, how's it going? So for today's video, I thought it would be just really fun, really chill, just to look at my Goodreads. I've seen this idea floating around where other booktubers would go on Goodreads and go to like their read books, to their average rating, which of the books that they have read are the worst books they've read according to Goodreads. I've seen videos from like Sarah, Haley, Jack, Leonie do this. And so I thought, because my previous video was literally talking about my favorite books of all time, to do somewhat of the exact opposite and go on Goodreads and see which of the books that I have read are the worst books according to Goodreads. So I am curious because there was a time on Goodreads where I would literally put all of the books, like as far as I can remember, like back when I was like in middle school, back when I was like a young kid in high school, all of the books that I could remember on Goodreads. I went on there, logged it, rated it, count them as read. So we'll see, because according to Goodreads, I have read over 1,000 books, which is a pretty hefty, solid number. Because I think, you don't really go on Goodreads and log in like your past childhood books like Amelia Bedelia or Arthur. I think when I first started Goodreads, I just wanted to log in every single book that I read. You all already know it. Thank you to Book of the Month for sponsoring today's video. So you might notice the birthday balloon thing happening in the background. It's not my birthday, but my roommate's, and I hung it up last night for her. Unrelated. But once again, I am super grateful and thankful to be partnering with Book of the Month for this month of September. They are pretty much my channel's biggest #1 supporter, and if you don't know anything about them, let me get you up to speed. So Book of the Month is essentially your #1 main source, your friendly neighborhood subscription service, where essentially they do all the work for you so that you can spend more time reading and less time researching. But do you know why though? It's because every month they go through a vetting process to pick out the best selections of new and early release titles. The absolute thing that I love about Book of the Month is that they have the best prices for any newly released hardcover fiction out there. Unbeatable, uncomparable. And on top of that, if you're not satisfied with that month's selection, you can totally skip risk-free. So with that being said, let's take a look at some of the month's selections. First one up being Evil Eye. Look at this cover. This one is sort of encompassing of a family drama mystery. It's about a young Palestinian-American woman who basically goes off and tries to find the meaning of life. The second book that I picked is The Stranger Upstairs. This one primarily follows a young woman who goes off to renovate a creepy, mysterious murder house. So these are some of the picks that I chose for this month. If you guys are interested, I do have a link and code down below that you guys can use to get your first book for only $9.99 with my code Elias. Again, thank you to Book of the Month for sending these books my way and for sponsoring today's video. The app itself, and all the years that I've had it, super janky. I mean, I love Goodreads. Overall, they're the OG, but oh my god, it's like, it still remain the same. They have the same interface, the same settings, but everyone has like grown, It's like they've never peaked, or this was their peak back in the day. Goodreads, I love you, but your UI, it needs some updates. It's still fucking loading, and it's been like 3 minutes, especially since I have like over 1,000 books logged on here. All right, the first book, the lowest rated book, I guess, on here is Wrecked with a 2.93 of around 1,800 ratings and 290 reviews. With my average rating, 2 stars. What was this book even about? I do vaguely remember reading this book. When did I even read this? This was like a book about a young girl who rescues a mysterious boy who turns out to be, I think, like a merman. This was like back in the day when YA paranormal fantasy was like at its boom, at its peak with like Twilight, Hush, Angels, all sorts of things. The rating fits. I would still stick with the rating now, maybe even DNF it if I read it in this day and age. So moving on, we have a book called Nature, the Soul, and God, an introduction to natural philosophy. And this book has an average rating of 3.20 and only 5 ratings? What? I gave this 3 stars. Oh my god, I remember this book. So this was actually a book that my philosophy professor wrote, and we had to get it for his class. This was such a long time ago. I remember getting this book. So I took a philosophy class that was mandatory, and I went to college for my freshman year in like the smallest private college ever. It was this small Catholic college called Benedictine College in Atchison, Kansas. I don't remember the professor. It has 5 ratings, and one of the ratings on here said my philosophy professor wrote this book and used it for our class. Not a bad book, but 3 stars nonetheless. Yeah, only 5 ratings. And I guess I am one of them. I guess I'm a pioneer. So the next book is Survive the Night by Danielle Vega. Oh my god, I remember this. This has like a general rating of like a 3.21 with over 5,000 ratings and 1,000 reviews. I gave this book 3 stars. Survive the Night is about a group of friends who decide to go to an underground party. However, they soon encounter a dangerous creature or person and try to escape as it picks them off one by one. And I remember reading this. I thought it was a very poorly written and poorly executed horror book. I think I also came to like a general consensus where I believe that just YA couldn't do horror or couldn't do horror well. I mean, 3 stars isn't like a bad rating, but it fits. The next book is The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay. Oh my god, I remember this book. And this one has an average rating of 3.32 with 71,000 ratings. So I give this one 2 stars and I stick with this rating 1,000% because my review says, what the fuck was that? What the fuck? What the actually layers intensifies at books sitting on the table. You're so pointless, I scream. Okay, great premise. I can understand the obscurity and the redundancy of it. The unknown. Writing was decent, very engaging with pacing. The pacing, oh god, the fucking pacing, I'm done. Thank god I finished this after Christmas, otherwise I would have been so stupidly annoyed, my god. This book had such promise and a great build-up going through, but I just can't. Overall, disappointed. Could not relate to anyone who gave this 5 stars. And then I finally said 2 generous stars. The Cabin at the End of the World is basically about a family that gets invaded in like their summer home by like these group of strangers who announce that someone has to die in order to save the world because at that very moment the world is ending. There are several instances throughout the novel where you're like, is what they're saying true or false? Are they lying? Are they making it up? Or is the end of the world actually happening and what's gonna happen? I remember reading this book and the movie actually just recently came out this year by M. Night Shyamalan, and I actually think the movie was, I guess, better executed in like the twist in the movie was a lot different than the book. And I feel like if they had stuck with the original twist in the book, maybe it would have hit harder, maybe? I don't know. We'll never know, I guess. I hated the ending for this book. And I know that a lot of people agree with me because that average rating though. Okay, so the next book is The Price Guide to the Occult by Leslie Walton. I gave this 2 stars. This book has an average rating of a 3.35 with almost 5,000 ratings. I also remember this book. I remember not being impressed by it and being really disappointed. I even said it right here in my review, how I wanted to love this book. Too bad. But unfortunately it didn't work out. It really fucking didn't. I expected too much. And got too little in return, usually. Honestly, the book itself is beautiful, all red and green with the design etched into the cover. A false and deceptive look to pull you in and become trapped in its spell. You know, I was a little crafty reviewer back then, huh? I just remember this book sounding super promising. It's about this main family who lives in Oregon, or was it Washington? I don't know. One of the states. It's very like witchy and magic-like. All right, so the next book is Night of the Mannequins by Stephen Graham Jones with a 3.35 and 14,000 ratings. I gave this one 2 stars. And you know what? I do remember this one as well. It's basically about a group of teenagers who play a prank with a mannequin at a movie theater. However, that mannequin soon comes to life and starts killing the teenagers, circa slasher. And honestly, it's a premise I thought sounded really interesting and I thought I would have liked it, but I just think I could not get into the writing. The storytelling and the writing was it just felt really weird and disjointed to me. And I did say I wished it was properly fleshed out as a full-length novel. All right, so the next one is The Awakening, the first book in the Vampire Diaries by L.J. Smith. This one has a rating of 3.36, 75,000 ratings. And my rating for this book was 3 stars. Not bad. I do remember reading The Vampire Diaries. Oh my god, I think it was because I was very curious about the show. And this was back in the time when, again, vampires, angels, mermaids, fairies, all of the paranormal supernatural creatures era in any media format was super popular. But I do remember in the book, Elena had like blonde hair. And I also remember being really surprised by how different the book was compared to the show, especially with the characters. I think Caroline in the show matched the description of Elena in the book. But I gotta say though, the show is top tier. I love the show. I grew up on the show, but can't say the same with the books. So next up we have The Rules, with an average rating of 3.37 and around 1,400 ratings. And I gave this one 2.5 stars. So apparently from the blurb, it's Saw meets I Know What You Did Last Summer. You know, you have those really cool combinations together. It's basically about a young junior high school student who gets invited to this exclusive party on this island. And when the trademark scavenger hunt begins, Robin must go against every rule she's lived by to survive as her friends are being picked off one by one. All I said in my review was that it was cliche and I only read until the end because I wanted to know who killed everyone. Utterly stupid AF. The motive was so dumb and over the top because it held little relevance to the main character. WTF. Anyways, the rule was filled with cliche characters that made the dumbest decisions. For example, girl 1 wants to stay in the car with tiny barking dog, and everyone agrees to let her stay there, and they all leave her. I don't need to tell you what happens to her. The rules, for me, gave me one insight. Rule number 1, don't ever read anything by these two authors or recommend this to anyone. A little ruthless back then. I mean, still am now, but you know. The shoe still fits. Okay, so the next book is a book I still vividly remember. This is The Other Black Girl with an average rating of 3.38 with almost 70,000, and I gave this 2 stars. I actually remember reading this for the late night book club, actually. It's about a young black woman who starts her job in the publishing book industry. However, she soon gets malicious and hostile messages telling her to leave, and she tries to get to the bottom of it. So it was marketed as like an edge of your seat thriller until the very last twist, according to the blurb here. But I even said in my review, what was this? This is ultimately super messy and dry. You can literally skip and read the ending of this book to save time. There were some good aspects and conversations to be had within the book about racial diversity and women in the workforce, but the writing and I were not compatible. It was just really flat, not a lot happened. Overall, kind of disappointing. And I remember going just talking about the book in depth in the live show with Joel and Noel. I think the general consensus was that overall we were disappointed by just the execution and overall in the book. So the next book is Subject 7. I don't even know what this is. This one has an average rating of 3.38 of a rating around 1100. And I gave this book 4 stars. What? So this is the first. I cannot even tell you what this book is about because I do not remember anything about it. So apparently it's about the military utilizing deadly sleeper assassins housed within the bodies of teenagers. It's about Subject 7, the dangerous alter ego living inside a 16-year-old boy who has escaped the lab and on a mission. His objective is to seek out others like him and build an army capable of destroying the creators. Yeah, I literally cannot even tell you anything about this book because I do not remember anything. I gave this one 4 stars, so that's a definite twist. Maybe it was good? I don't even remember. The next book is There's Someone Inside Your House with an average rating of 3.40 of over 37,000 ratings. Wow. And I also gave this one 4 stars. Wow. Oh, you know what? I know why I liked it so much. It's because it read like just like your standard YA slasher, but I remember it being really bloody and really fun. And they did make a movie out of it, and I thought it was fine. You know, it wasn't as good as a classic like Scream or other slashers, but I've seen worse out there. I thought the gore was pretty great. I do remember Stephanie being like a really prominent like romance author, and then she transitioned over to horror. This was my first Stephanie Perkins, and I apparently really liked it. I gave it 4 stars. I said this book was like rated R, and I was really surprised at the gore and just the violence and the profanity in this book. So the next book is Reprieve with an average rating of 3.41 of over 6,000 ratings. And I gave this one 2 stars. This was also another late night book club pick. I feel like a lot of the books I read for the late night book club, more than half of them were misses, but the good ones were especially good. I think when it came to like the stronger books that I really liked, they really delivered. So that was worth it for me. I think this was like just poorly marketed because I thought it was like a horror-esque thriller, whereas at the end of the day, I think it just read as a really slow, repetitive literary drama. I just remember feeling super bewildered at how weird and slow this book was because it revealed basically its hand of tricks. At the very first chapter, it's about a group of strangers who play in like this escape room, but one of them dies. And how they die and who dies is sort of like the mystery, but it's sort of revealed very early on in the book. And basically the entire the book, just learning about the side characters, their background, their stories, and why they came to play at this haunted house. And that was basically it. The twist was that this book was not who it claimed to be. So the next book is The Scarlet Letter, the rating of a 3.43 of over 800,000 ratings. That's crazy. And I gave this one 3 stars. Didn't give a review. I don't even remember reading The Scarlet Letter. Don't really have anything to say. I actually don't even remember reading this. Did I even read it? I guess I did. Can't tell you anything about it though. Oh my god, the next book is another Vampire Diaries book. It's called The Struggle, and this one with a rating of a 3.45 of over 41,000 ratings. I also gave this one 3 stars. Okay, you know what? If the Vampire Diaries has something in common, it's that I was very consistent in giving the first 2 books, I guess, 3 stars. Did I even read the third one? Oh my god, I did read the third one. I read the third Vampire Diaries book called The Fury with an average rating of 3.51 of over 33,000 ratings, and I gave this one 2 stars. So something happened here. In between the first 2 books with the third one, I gave it 2 stars. I must have not liked it. And those are all the Vampire Diary books that I have read because I don't think I continued on with it. So I guess after the Vampire Diaries, we have Beowulf, and I do remember reading Beowulf. And this one has an average rating of 3.47 of over 293,000 ratings. And I gave this one 4 stars. Wow. I did remember writing an analysis paper on it, just talking about oh my god, what was the monster in Beowulf? Just comparing him to Beowulf in general. I even remember the paper I wrote, the topic. That's crazy. Got an A in that paper too as well. Beowulf, I think, pretty much everyone knows the story. It's a classic, so. The next book I read was a YA mystery called With Malice, with an average rating of 3.49 of over 13,000 ratings, and I gave this 2 stars. I remember reading this and not liking it. I don't think I liked the characters in this. Oh, and I also said in my review, I guessed the plot of the book within 30 pages. And I said, if you're a newbie or noobs to the YA thriller mystery genre, With Malice might be the book for you. But then I said, if you're a seasoned reader to this particular genre, skip ahead and don't look back. Falsely misleading and underwhelming at times, I give With Malice 2 stars. So this next book, Volpone, average rating of a 3.5 with over 9,000 ratings. I gave this 2.5 stars. I don't even know what this book is about. According to Goodreads, it's an Elizabethan drama play. The plot concerns a wealthy, lecherous old man who feigns a mortal illness in order to solicit bribes from greedy acquaintances who hope to inherit his fortune. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't ever recall reading this book, but I'm pretty sure I read it for an English class. So the next book is Every Vow You Break by Peter Swanson, OG thriller, and this one has a rating of a 3.51. Wow, that's really low, actually. Rating over 46,000, and I gave this 2 stars. All I said in my review was, well, WTF, it's a strong no for me. Probably the most predictable thriller I've read. Noobs would eat this up though. Damn, still pretentious, even though I read this book a couple years ago. Live show for the book with my thoughts will be on Kayla's channel. Oh, I read this for Kayla's book club? I don't even remember. Oh my god, I do remember reading this. Okay, so the Goodreads summary sort of brought it all back to me. So it's about a newly married couple from the bride's POV, and for their honeymoon, they go to this renowned island. However, several mysterious things start to happen, and because of those things, she starts to spiral. However, no one really seems to believe anything is amiss, including her perfect new husband. I remember reading this now. So the next book we have Carrier of the Mark. Average rating of 3.52 with 12,000 ratings, and I give this 3 stars. I do not even remember what this book is about. So this one is a YA paranormal romance about a young girl who moves to Ireland who is instantly drawn to a handsome boy named Adam Duris. Yeah, that's pretty much all I know. I do not remember ever reading this book. Okay, the next book, Survive the Night by Riley Sager. Average rating 3.52. Yikes. Over 100,000 ratings. 1 star. Oh, wow. I remember avidly hating this book. And you know what? I still hate it to this day. It's pretty much one of the worst thrillers I've ever read. The execution, the plot twist, the characters, I fully hated. This is one of the books where he sort of fell off as an auto by author for me. I mean, I still would read pretty much anything that he writes, but as far as favorites thriller authors, I think he lost that honorary title from me as a reader, especially after the next consecutive books from him as well. For me, I guess his strongest books were the first 4 or 3 books that he has written, and I really liked it. 5 out of 5. Can't say the same for Survive the Night. The next book is Crossed, which is the second book in the Matched series by Ali Condi. It's YA, average rating of 3.52, over 240,000 ratings. I gave this 3 stars. Cannot tell you what this book is about, but I do remember reading this book. It's dystopian, it's YA, and it was very popular when it first came out. The next book is The Canterbury Tales. I also remember reading this one for an English assignment. Average rating of 3.52, over 200,000 ratings, and I gave this one 3 stars. Not bad. Classic. Next, we have Burn Our Bodies Down by Rory Power with an average rating of 3.53 of 10,000 ratings, and I gave this 3 stars. I do remember reading this book. I was pretty underwhelmed with it overall. It's about a young girl who goes off to find her family in like this small town. When she gets to the small town, she soon realizes that the inhabitants and the town are hiding dangerous secrets, and not everything is as it seems. Next, we have Immortal, and from the cover, I cannot even begin to tell you or remember what this book is about. A 3.53 with over 11,000 ratings, and I gave this 3 stars. I take it from the blurb that it's YA, about a young girl who is at a boarding school. She finds an attractive boy. That's pretty much it. YA books back then were just simple enough for me, I guess. So the next book is Bonfire by Kirsten Ritter. This has a rating of a 3.53 with over 21,000 ratings, and I give this 3 stars. And I don't think she has come out with a book since. The author herself is a pretty popular actress. I have seen her in like other movies and shows. I thought the book itself was fine. I guess this was like my first political thriller that I've read. I said it was surprisingly pretty good. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad either. We have the recycle trope of the main character who is an environmentalist lawyer going back to her hometown and diving deep in the secrets of the past while solving or working the case in the same town. Alright, she played Jessica Jones. I forgot about that. The next book is 172 Hours on the Moon with an average rating of 3.54, 13,000 ratings, and I gave this one 3.75 stars. This one primarily follows a group of teenagers who win the ultimate prize to go to the moon. However, once they get there, they encounter a terrifying creature who has severe malicious intents. This one really reminded me of the movie called Life with, what's her name? Rebecca Ferguson, Ryan Reynolds, and Jake Gyllenhaal. If you know that movie, it's about an alien group of scientists, and they have to fight against this alien who wants to go to Earth because this alien is very dangerous. This one is pretty similar. This one came out a while ago as well. So the next book is The Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix, recently read. This has a rating of a 3.54, with over 113,000 ratings, and I gave this 2 stars. Here's the thing, I really like reading thriller or horror books that have a final girl trope element to it. However, I still have yet to read a pretty decent or good book that has that trope, executed well. Because the only book that I have given like a solid review was Riley Sager's first book, The Final Girls. But I feel like I was pretty biased in the fact that it was the first time I've ever read a book that had that trope. However, I do believe if I had read this book now, my rating would totally be different. But I do remember disliking The Final Girl Support Group because of the way it was executed. I thought it has such promise, such a strong premise, but execution and characters, not so great. Sad days. I'm starting to think book as slashers don't really work. And you know what? I think I tend to agree with that statement as well. But yeah, I think we're just gonna end it off there. I think I did a lot more books than I intended. Those were apparently the worst books I've read according to Goodreads. And you know what? Half of them I don't even remember reading. I feel like maybe there were a couple that might be known to other people, but I feel like if I never looked on this list, I would have never known that those were the worst books I read according to Goodreads. That was really interesting. That was kind of fun. Please let me know down in the comments below, what are some of the worst books that you've read that other people really, really liked? If you're looking for extra content or want to participate in our book club, we also have monthly movie nights and exclusive video. Also, we are reading A Taste of Golden Iron, which is like a gay political fantasy that I'm really excited to get into for the book club. I'll leave a link to my Patreon down below. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you all soon with the new video.